Hi, I'm Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a channeled love letter from your person. Your person could be an ex you're still thinking of fondly. It could be the person you're with currently. It could be a person you haven't met yet, or even somebody where you haven't confessed your feelings to one another. Whatever it is, we're going to be talking about that and whatever they have to say to you in today's video. As you can see, we have 4 groups in front of you. I'm going to give you a moment so you can pick whatever group you resonate with most. I'll give you a moment to do so. Now that you've done that, you can go down to the description to skip to your timestamp for your designated group. But let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1. Let's look at this channeled love letter from your person by looking at the cards. Your oracle card is, coming to life upright. That is a super positive, happy card. I have to look at the rest of the cards for context, but that's awesome. Okay, let's see what your tarot cards say. We have the Hermit card upright, the Moon card upright, the Death card in reverse, the Knight of Wands upright, 5 of Wands upright, yeah. And your last card is, the Devil and the Death card. This person was clearly very significant to you. Huh. Okay. Hold on one moment. I feel like I know what's going on, but let me just pull one more card for over here. Temperance card upright. Okay, I know what's going on. Yeah, I had a feeling this was 2 separate situations. It's funny because the Moon card actually talks about 2 of these, like it refers to both. So we have the love letter coming from somebody who you haven't gotten together with yet. In fact, for many of you, because this is a general reading, you are actually amidst the beginning stages of getting together, and it is unbeknownst to you. Like, you don't even know it's happening yet, but it's happening whether you realize it or not. And this is your past. So this future somebody you're going to be getting with is kind of referring to how you guys get together and telling you some things that are important to note, pay attention to. And then they're kind of giving you closure and help with the past in order to move forward. So this is really fantastic. I love these sort of messages. But the Moon card's really interesting, and we're going to talk about that in greater detail further along, because there's no cards in here that refer to you suffering from some sort of repeating cycle. I guess the Death card a little bit, the Devil card, but whatever it is, it talks about a cycle that it's going to actually continue, but it's going to end by having the cycle repeat in a different sort of way. This sounds all very flowery, but don't worry, we're going to get into specifics. So let's talk about the past over here. This is referring to an ex, I can tell. This would have been a significant ex for you. And I do not mean to kind of say anything negative about the Knight of Wands, people who are the Knight of Wands, because I gotta tell you, as much as I get this card commonly with many circumstances, the Knight of Wands has painted a certain picture to me as I've read it with so many certain circumstances, and a certain type of person has kind of over time correlated with this card. But there's also many people who end up with Knight of Wands types of personalities, and they have wonderful relationships, and this doesn't mean this is the worst person in the world. I just want to make this clear. But I often find this relates to somebody who is super charismatic and they're energetic, and they're very flirtatious with you, with other people. They're very attractive for sure, and they just have no problem being very direct and approaching you and letting you know their feelings. And it often inspires a lot of great romances. But here's the thing. Often I get this card when this type of person often can kind of get bored of who they're with and kind of can carelessly then move on to the next person. And they're fine. They moved on, but they're unaware of how strong and magnetic their energy is, like very intense magnetism. The type that leaves you feeling like that was the love of your life. But the thing is, they produce that sort of energy with everybody. And it doesn't mean your feelings for them wasn't real. It's just that when they went to move on and kind of have that same sort of energy and vibes they gave off to you to somebody else, they're not really aware of what they've left in the wake and how much you're still thinking of them. I often get this card when people are contacting me and saying, I just don't know what it is about this person, but I cannot stop thinking about them. I just keep feeling drawn to them and I can't seem to let them go and I don't know why. Well, you know why? It's because they're a Knight of Wands person. It is just something about their energy. They just get a hold on people without even meaning to. So I can see over here in the Death card in reverse, you are going to be kind of like meeting up with them again. This is a sort of closure type of conversation. Something where you kind of get together over coffee or whatever and kind of have one last final like goodbye type of situation. It can be, because this is a general reading, it can be potentially like maybe you think you want to get back with them, but then once you do, you realize, oh, this isn't it anymore. That final last meeting is what's going to help give the sort of closure that you need, which is really great. I can see over in here with the Five of Wands, this is what is the type of relationship where they were really great to you and really passionate and kind of always pulled you in, and yet you also had the sort of arguments that kind of pulled you in sort of a chaotic time in your life. This isn't just cut and dry like you're fighting a lot. This is kind of the confusing sort of fights where you're left without fully understanding who won and apologizing but still feeling mad and things starting to get messy. You know what I mean? It's not just as simple as they said something mean, it offended you, and then you stood up for yourself. This is a lot more complex and ongoing than that. But I can see over here in the Devil card in reverse that if you're worried that this person who's kind of been still affecting you emotionally and internally as you've gone forward in life is going to carry on moving forward into this next relationship, that's going to be ending because of this conversation you're going to be having with them. This could be a conversation over, it's not giving me specifics, so this could be a closure over email, over a phone call. It doesn't have to necessarily be in person. If you're worried, if this person was really toxic and you're worried about actually confronting them in person again, you don't need to. It's just that there will be something where you kind of get that final resolve, and it looks like the Devil card talks about them no longer influencing your life. They're going to be out of your life for good. They're not going to be affecting how you view relationships in the beginning. It's a total, like, this is now gone. This pain you've been going through over. You will no longer be confused. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So the Moon card pops up when your first impression of somebody was incorrect. Often with Knight of Wands, this card pops up hand in hand like nearly every time I pull this type of card and I get certain questions, because a lot of people thought they were in this wonderful romantic relationship where they were so into them and then they dropped them out of nowhere. First impression of them was wrong. They made you feel they were one way, but in reality they were much more flighty and maybe not as dedicated as you thought they were, or whatever that circumstance is. But the Moon card talks about first impressions being wrong and this other person you're going to be with, that you're underestimating them, which is really fun. The Hermit card does talk about you being single now, and then you're not going to be single anymore. But the Hermit card also does really talk about somebody who, that when you go to be with them, they tend to like to be alone a lot. I can see over here in the Temperance card, the reason why I say it's an unbeknownst relationship and your first impression of them was wrong when we talk about the Moon card, this is somebody who is initially your friend for a while. It's not an immediate sort of romantic chemistry. This is something that kind of develops over time. And the Temperance card and the Hermit card say, you're going to just need to be patient. Please give it patience. Let it develop naturally. Please don't, be too aggressive. Understand that the beauty of you guys getting together is the fact that you're going to be so close as friends first before it becomes, clear-cut dating and romance as it begins. Like I said, you're probably friends with them right now and have no idea that it will become anything. You're thinking, I have no feelings for them. they have feelings for you, and that will change on your end as well. But then we have the coming to life card. So coming to life is awesome. It talks about how, you've been through some stuff. You've been through some things. Don't worry. That's over with now. It was great that you went through it because it's changed you. It's changed your dreams. It's changed what you thought you wanted. You want something different now. That's great. And that this new thing that you want, it is this dream that's kind of evolved on its own, this concept, you're going to be now receiving. You're going to be now getting that thing. So maybe you initially thought this was the type of person you wanted to end up. You had no idea the person you would be happiest with in the long term of your life would be this person. So you know what I mean? So this card talks about you guys. Yes, you're going to be getting together, which is really cool. It's going to be time period of friendship. It's going to be a little bit slower, but both the Temperance card and the Coming to Life card do lovingly urge you to be the one that kind of makes more of the first steps. You're going to have to be proactive because while this says that your dream is coming into fruition, it still needs kind of help being coaxed into existence. So it's like opportunities presenting themselves and you stepping up to the plate to still make sure that you make the meeting happen. Does that make sense? So this person's popping up, they're showing you that they like you. You're going to need to make the first couple moves to let them know you like them back, and maybe you would like this this friendship to change into a relationship. Does that make sense? And like I said, first impression wrong. Trust me. This is what we talked about, a cycle. You misunderstood this, which is understandable. We've all been there, but this didn't turn out the way you had thought. It's repeating again, but the great thing is you didn't think this would be the person you'd wanted to be with, and you're going to get to know them deeper and realize they're even better than you had initially given them credit for. So see what I'm saying? It's like cycles continuing, but in a positive way. Not every cycle that we go through is necessarily bad. We just need to experience it in the proper, more beneficial way. So pretty awesome. I'm so excited for you in this future romance that's developing. Don't forget to be patient with them, be gentle. The Temperance card specifically talks about gentleness, and especially with them being a little more of a kind of isolated person. You don't want to scare them away, but you do want to let your feelings be known. It's definitely something you hadn't initially anticipated, but it's going to be what you needed, not what you initially thought you wanted. And you're going to be finally getting closure, and this is going to be ending these sort of feelings that you've been hung up on, and the worries of if you're going to get back with this person are going to be long gone, which is awesome. So I hope you enjoyed this reading as much as I did. Please feel free to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Either way, have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2, let's look at a channeled love letter from your person by looking at the cards. Your first card is Commitment Oracle card in reverse. Your tarot cards are Knight of Cups in reverse, 5 of Wands upright, 3 of Pentacles in reverse, 2 of Wands upright. Ooh, 3 of Pentacles upright. Repeated. Okay, duly noted. This is important. And your last card is 2 of Pentacles upright. Interesting. Let me pull another card. I need to understand this better. Hold on. King of Swords upright. Okay, so that's gonna happen. Hold on, let me pull one more. What? This is so weird. This is weird in the best possible way, but it's still weird. Okay, I'm so sorry to have accidentally become that person where they're exasperating too much and you're like, what is it? What do you say? So let's get into this. This is really interesting because we have a situation going on here with a solution, but then we have this, and it almost feels like this is the love letter from your person, but this is your spirit guide popping up with like a little red pen and putting in their little extra notes and edits of being like, by the way, this is still gonna happen, and you're like, what? But that's how tarot and spirit often work. They just kind of insert themselves in. They're going to give you the message you need to hear whenever they feel you need to hear it. They don't care what your agenda is. They're going to pop in and let you know. So that's a good thing, and we're happy to receive that. So let's talk about this first. I can see over here in your current relationship, this is a current relationship going on here, that things are a little bit messy right now. A little bit of disharmony, a little bit of confusion. This is the sort of fighting that isn't clear. It's not simply, oh my goodness, simply, you know, they said something offended you, you got offended, then you said, please don't do that, and then they said sorry. This is when you're not really sure how the fight even began or how you even got to this place. And it's kind of interesting because it doesn't feel like all hope is lost. There's a lot of stuff you guys agree upon. There's still a sense of partnership. So this is really unpleasant for both of you because you're not really sure what's happening. Often this pops up when couples are both kind of overworked or just kind of overwhelmed subconsciously. And, you know, it's weird unintentionally getting on each other's nerves when you don't mean to. So the main problem that you guys are both unaware of, I might add, is in the Three of Pentacles in reverse. This is when a couple is isolating themselves too much from other social situations like hanging out with friends or coworkers. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's always a bad thing. Many couples have very fulfilling, happy lives, you know, being just the two of them, and that works great. But in this current situation, it's kind of what you guys need. It's the actually main problem that's then causing all of this. Now, that does not mean say that let me get my words together. So sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. I have like 8 million things I need to say to you guys. So it looks like you guys in the Two of Wands upright agreed upon this. You want to be together all alone. You're not forcing them and they're not forcing you. This is what you both wanted, which is a great thing and shows your partnership and togetherness. But that's also why would the thing that both of you want and a really positive intention turn into this? This is why you're not really seeing this as the main problem. Now, over here in the Two of Pentacles upright, there is an unexpected and unintentional splitting apart sort of vibe. This is when your partner feels like they are coming apart as a person and feeling like they have to choose between you and the relationship and other social situations. Not that you're putting them in that position, but they're starting to subconsciously feel like they are. They don't realize how much they need other things in addition to the relationship. Again, you're not forcing them. They're not forcing themselves. It's accidentally happening, and it's something's like kind of brewing underneath the surface, so to speak. This is when you feel like you're not able to give even your full self to a relationship because you feel divided and feel pulled apart between these two different things you want, if that makes sense. Now, the solution over here is the opposite, Three of Pentacles upright. This is when you guys go and be social, but keep in mind, this is not about the two of you parting ways for a time period and then being social with your own individual friend groups. You can totally do that. It's actually, in fact, the opposite. It's about still staying together as a couple and a partners and then being social together, working on a project together. So this can be as simple as going out to eat with a bunch of different friends and having like a movie night together with a bunch of people. Or this could be the two of you. Maybe you pick up a cooking class together and you're working together to accomplish this task as you talk to other people and you're like kind of out in the world more. So there's an easy solution to kind of fix these problems. Both of you aren't aware of how it's affecting you and one another, especially considering how well you work together. But despite all of this going on and like an easy solution and all is good, then we have this. And this is so kind of caught me off, came out of left field. So the Knight of Cups in reverse kind of adds to this whole Two of Pentacles situation going on. This is when somebody kind of goes from being your really committed, loving partner, as we talked about over here, how committed you guys are, to just one day dropping you and almost suddenly out of nowhere being afraid to commit. it just not sounding like them, and it just being an unexpected sort of experience, especially considering the history and what they said they wanted and their actions and so on and so forth. A lot of this is due to what we talked about, this subconscious buildup. It's going to kind of like really weigh them down, and they're going to kind of like snap out of nowhere, and they just not like freak out on you, but turn with their intentions of being really committed and going 180 the next. And that kind of gets continued over here, but this is where spirit kind of is popping in, is like a loving reassurance. Because the King of Swords over here talks about this big sort of change happening in your life, and that you're going to need to just be like strong and brave, and you have to take this head on, and it's kind of like a positive, good, big change that's going to happen. So it implies you guys no longer being together, but this being a good thing. And then this idea gets carried out even more as almost like both a loving statement and a warning, which is like I said, it's very goofy and weird, but I mean, this is what I'm seeing. In Commitment in Reverse, this is a warning that I get very rarely, but it's when you're being told specifically by your spirit guides of saying, you don't want to commit to this person. You're going to regret this later. Trust me, this is the right thing that is meant to happen. Do not commit to this person or you'll regret it. So it's kind of almost like it's scary sounding in my opinion, but it's also a good thing to hear, like, oh, okay, I guess it's a good thing. And then that concept with the more loving side gets repeated over here in the Nine of Cups. This is when you kind of get exactly what you wanted. Things are almost too good to be true, but they're not. Like, they really are that great. It's a wish card. It's positivity. It's getting everything you possibly wanted. So it almost kind of has this implication that there's this going on. There is a solution to it, but ultimately, you guys are not going to end up being together, but it's a good thing, both out of you're avoiding something that could not turn out great in the long run, and at the same time, this is going to lead to something that you really are going to be absolutely over the head over heels for. This is less about, patching something together and just making it work, but getting exactly what you wanted, and this talks about like happiness, and especially with it being right underneath the Knight of Cups, this almost implies like a really happy sort of romance where there's not even a single problem ever. You know what I mean? It's like the most ideal type person that you've ever wanted. So I did not expect that. It's got a really happy situation on, and if you want to choose to ignore this and you want to just focus on the solution from your person, here you go, here's the solution. So either way, it's kind of like a win-win. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this reading as much as I enjoyed figuring it out and reading it. Please feel free to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Either way, have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number three. Let's look at this channeled love letter from your person by looking at the cards. Your oracle card is Spark Upright. Your tarot cards are, Ten of Swords in reverse, Nine of Wands in reverse. Okay. We have Page of Wands upright, the Hangman in reverse, the Empress upright. And your final card is the Chariot! Yay! Okay. I was a little worried there for a moment. This is awesome. Okay. So right now I'm currently connecting to a couple who is in a relationship. And it looks like from these particular cards, things have not been going great. They have been awful to the point that it almost feels like you might end up breaking up. It's that bad. But the funny thing here is that despite it being that bad, everything's gonna be fine. In fact, everything's going to be better than fine. You're going to be closer than you were before. So like I said, I get very giggly and overly joyous when I can say that. That is always a positive thing to talk about and get fortunate enough to share. So let's talk about what's going on over here. Like I said, things haven't been going great. We have a couple reasons and solutions and just general positive omens and a little bit of a better understanding. It almost feels like your person is saying, please understand this. You know what I mean? So over here in the Ten of Swords, this is when things are going so badly, like a fight in particular gets that bad, like you think you're going to break up. But what ends up happening is by, some miracle, you end up getting through it. It's like a fight that leads to a better situation in the relationship, and in fact you grow stronger for it. It's a positive thing that had happened. It was not a fun thing to go through because it was a very rough situation, but ultimately it's for the best of the relationship. Now, I see the main thing that's adding up to this sort of confrontation is in the Nine of Wands in reverse. See, the Nine of Wands in reverse is when a couple is in sort of like a stalemate with one another. They're unable to budge because maybe they're just so set in their beliefs or what they want. And one person's asking something of the other that they're just like, no, this is how I want things to be. You change. And then, you're like, no, you were the problem. And then there's just, you're not moving. You're not budging. But the thing is here is, in addition to those cards meaning that, this also can refer to when somebody has had a previous negative relationship, especially with the Empress card being in here. Sometimes people have bad relationships with their mothers, and sometimes that gets brought into later in life when they least expected it and kind of gets projected, unfortunately, on their, person, and it whatever relationship is negative. Keep in mind, this doesn't matter the gender. Sometimes any sort of negative parental relationship sometimes gets brought into the relationship later on. And a lot of the times, the person who's projecting that on you isn't meaning to. They didn't expect these emotions to come out of nowhere. It also can refer to a past romance that just didn't go well, and it's really difficult for them, and this is why you're getting so much animosity from them, and you're kind of being advised by both of these cards to be like, take it slowly, be kind, be gentle. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to seem like a minuscule percentage that it was even going to happen, but you have to be a little tender because of this situation, and that's what's kind of causing all of this going on. But the thing is, we have so many happy omens here, here. And one of the sort of solutions going on over here is in the Hangman in reverse. This is when a couple sort of says, this is the new energy we're talking about. The Page of Wands is like a positive omen, like new sort of energies are coming into the relationship. Like the vibe of the couple is going to be changing completely. Like you're still going to be a couple, but it's going to feel like you're new people together. And this is because of the Hangman. So the reason why, even though the problem is a stalemate, weirdly enough, the solution is also still not changing your perspectives, but in turn accepting the others. This is when you kind of hit a point in the relationship where you're like, you know what? I'm just going to accept that's who you are and stop making you be the person I want you to be and kind of accept what is. But that also goes for them to you too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to be somebody who has certain aspirations, and they can choose to change for that, be annoyed by that, or find a middle ground. It's a bit of compromising and allowing the other person, vice versa, them to you and you to them, to be your own person and allow that to be what it is. It's like whatever you guys are trying to make different, if you can kind of get out of that perspective and stop trying to force something that's not meant to be forced on both ends, there is just somehow a more beautiful understanding. It's this feeling of like, especially with the spark card talking about creativity and hope, and now is the time to like dive into like dreams and dive into your impulses and good things. Feels like by understanding who they are and finally accepting that, and vice versa them to you, it's like you're getting to know each other as new people because you finally get that. And so it feels like this next beautiful evolution for both yourself and them as a couple. So it's a really cool, I'm surprised the death card isn't popping up here, which would talk about rebirth. But I guess the idea is that you're not leaving the old versions of you behind. You're bringing that with you in this sort of evolutionary part of your life. Again, both for you as an individual and as the couple. So like we talked about the positive omen over here with the Page of Wands talking about the new energies and love coming in, and the spark talking about like, yep, there's still something here. In fact, there's a lot of good things that you're ready to dive into. It's always naturally into. It should be explored rather than focusing on this negative stuff, and that's kind of like coming your way. But the Empress card talks about longevity, which is really cool. So this is not only someone that it's going to work out with, but this is somebody you're going to be with for a much longer time than you had initially anticipated. Because in the beginning of this, we talked about how you were like, I guess we're breaking up. This isn't fun. And then all of a sudden it's the total opposite. This talks about being loving. This is a lot of nurturing. This is like a really sweet kind of caring relationship where both one another is able to offer that. Again, a very like equal sort of loving sort of exchange, again, because of the acceptance, which is really cool. And the Chariot card upright talks about overcoming dysfunctions in the relationship. And this is, again, is like when everything seems to be like going a complete 180 and you're feeling closer than ever and you're stronger for it. So I'm so sorry for this plane going by. I am so sorry. I try to edit out those planes whenever I hear them. Apologies that got so loud. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. This talks about being even stronger. Again, same concept that we talked about over here. So yeah, weirdly enough, things are gonna be fine. It's going to feel like you're cutting it close, and there is a certain level of compromise that needs to take place, but that compromise leads to a deeper closeness and understanding of one another. I see positive stuff. Both of these talking about this concept of travel and creativity that you guys will both be exploring together as a couple. I can see there's just going to be a lot more like caretaking of both. Like one brings one person a breakfast in bed and the other one's nice enough to do the other one's laundry, you know what I mean, that kind of mentality. And everything's going to be okay, and you're going to be together for a very long time, which is really awesome. But your loved one just wants you to know that it is going to be okay, and that this is kind of what they need out of this situation. So yeah, I'm very excited and happy for you. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this reading as much as I enjoyed giving it. Please feel free to give a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. But either way, have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 4. Let's look at a channeled love letter from your person by looking at the cards. Your oracle card is Details in reverse. Your tarot cards, oh my goodness, sorry, Ace of Swords upright. Page of Wands in reverse. 2 of Cups upright. 4 of Cups upright. 7 of Cups upright. And your final card is 8 of Cups upright. Okay, let me just look at what's going on here. Oh! Oh, this is so cute. Okay, this is great. Okay, so this is kind of one of those, you'll be very happy to hear this. This is one of those situations where it feels like there might be a situation, like a negative situation, and there isn't, and you're going to be just fine as a couple. This is kind of like a loving, letter from your loved one saying, I want this to work. Can we make this work? Here's some ideas I have. So I can tell you right now with the 2 of Cups upright, you guys are perfectly compatible for each other. Things are much better and can be much better than you realize. You guys are kind of meant to be. The Two of Cups is just one of my favorite cards. It is a card where it talks about partnership and equality in exchange of things. But in this modern day, we need more than love to make something work. So this is about equivalence, exchange of respect, trust, helping one another when it comes to doing errands and tasks. You just really feel like you have a partner in life, and often this pops up when someone feels like they're best friends with the person they're in love with. So this is a really positive thing and a really happy omen for you guys. But I can see the main problem going on over here is in the Page of Wands and the Four of Cups, and a little bit of the Seven of Cups. This talks about passion not really being there. It feels like it's dwindling down. You kind of both feel like you're sort of bored in the relationship. The Seven of Cups talks about this frustration because it feels like both of you aren't having enough direction of where you want it to go. It's that constant conversation of like, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? And so it's starting to kind of get on both of your nerves a little bit. And sometimes when there is a lack of that passion, it often makes you feel like, oh, I guess, is the relationship dwindling? I'm not really sure. Well, it has a little bit of a sort of solution in that. So first off, with details in reverse, it doesn't help the situation if you try to focus on like the perfectionism of the relationship. So sometimes when we notice things feeling askew, we kind of want that sense of control and want everything to be perfect. And so we're more and more aware of the details and things not being perfect. And this is kind of like, this is a combination of your loved one as well as your spirit guides kind of being like, you're going to need to kind of just not think about that and sort of put that behind you right now and let things work themselves out by, like, that's not helping make you feel better or the situation feel better. So you need to let go of that. But the Ace of Swords talks about a bit of a combination of an epiphany by realizing this problem and how to handle it. But it also asks you to have sort of kind of like an upfront conversation with your loved one and just start talking to them and say like, hey, listen, I think we both are aware things haven't been as fun and exciting as we'd like them to be, but we'd both like there to be something better there. So let's do that. So the Page of Wands is great because it's less about talking about when you're, like, it's not asking you to demand of your partner more commitment, more dating. It's all about fun, that you should spend time doing fun activities together. Like that should be your main motivation every time you get together for a little while in order to bring that back. Because it's not about there being a lack of passion because you're not romantically into each other anymore. It's almost like a lack of passion in general of the hanging out, life. And if both of you can experience that and share that, it's kind of this just wonderful experience that kind of revives everything else. And sometimes we confuse one thing for another is the best way to put it. So it's like a really happy omen that like, no, you're fine. It doesn't feel fine right now and there's totally a solution. But yeah. Now over here, the Seven of Cups does potentially talk about the concept if your partner has ever sort of had any kind of past hang-ups on potentially other past romantic partners. Maybe they've ever thought about somebody else, not that they love them more than you, but like when things feel dispassionate right now, they're like, oh, I had fun with blank. I can see over here the Happy Omen and the Eight of Cups. They're going to just kind of, as you guys introduce some more fun and activities in your relationship, they're going to just be forgetting about them and finally kind of letting them go for good and realize all the potential and wonderful things we talked about in the Two of Cups that you guys share and are worth saving and working on. And this was just like a temporary lull, so to speak. But the Eight of Cups also talks about a change and direction for the relationship as a whole, that it's not about at all leaving anyone behind. It's not about breaking up. It's about the two of you both agreeing like, okay, well, we're going to be just a different sort of couple than we were before. Like, we know we love to stay home and watch some movies, but that's just not going to be us anymore. We're going to be the couple that goes skydiving and I don't know, I'm trying to think of something exhilarating, rock climbing, and we're just going to be adventurous, and that's the new version of who we are at the moment. Remember, tarot is not a forever thing, as in like, this is just what's going to work for your relationship right now, but if that stresses you out, the idea of always doing something exciting or always going on an adventure, you don't need to worry. This is just what you need right now in order to make this thing happy and wonderful. So definitely let go of any sort of, you know, trying to control something in order to make yourself feel better. It's not going to help. It's going to kind of worsen the situation and worsen your perspective and theirs, and so on and so forth. Have an honest conversation about what's going on. Come up with some fun, cool ideas. Look forward to these positive omens coming your way. And the biggest thing you should focus on is the fact that, like, you guys are kind of meant to be together in more ways than one. It's a really beautiful thing. In fact, when I get both of these cards, I don't have enough surrounding cards to just full on say you guys are twin flame sort of connection, but I can't help but notice with these two repeating cards in the way they're repeating, especially under the Two of Cups, that is our sort of sign from Spirit Guide and Spirit Guides and Tarot, that you guys are kind of just like these sort of wonderful kindred spirits. You're both bored. You both want to be together. You're both compatible in a very deep sort of spiritual karmic way. So I just love that for you guys. And I look forward to all the fun you're going to be having in the future. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this reading as much as I enjoyed giving it. Feel free to give the video a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Either way, have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.